We have the new Mac Pro going on sale, well, this week.
Mm-hmm.
And it's expensive. It's going to be expensive.
No.
I mean, every time you see this particular device get mentioned, the price is part of it. As you can see in the headline here, CNBC. Apple's $5,999 Mac Pro goes on sale this week. It's like the price and the product they are equally important.
Mm-hmm.
And now, for the record, I'm not saying that the cost is unjustified. I mean, people have done a comparative analysis and said if you were to spec out a PC with the exact same specifications, you would also be spending a few dollars. People have said that. But I think really the reason it's standout, that the price is standout, is not as much about this particular device and its specs, but more about what's happened in the computer segment, personal computer segment, and I guess technology, the greater technology segment, where big ticket prices are just less commonplace in general. And what most people are doing on their devices don't require big ticket prices. And so when you have the rest of the marketplace pushing prices down lower, I mean, you got people working on Chromebooks for $150. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, this pro equipment, it looks glaringly expensive by comparison. Versus once upon a time, I don't remember, well, I think my first 486 computer, it was expensive. It was like a couple $1,000s or something. Mm-hmm. So it was just accepted that these were fringe devices, fringe in the sense that that they were going to be expensive. And you weren't going to be changing them or upgrading them all the time and all the rest of it. But anyway, this particular device, it's coming out. You can order it. They didn't did they say the actual ship date? It doesn't look like it yet, but you can order it beginning Tuesday, December 10th. Probably the time you're watching this, you can go ahead and order it yourself. The other notable thing with this particular device, this is the Trump Mac. That's the other name for it.
Why is that?
The Trump Mac. Because it's being assembled in Austin, Texas. So he went down, and then it was a meme because he he says, I opened this place. He showed up. He said, I opened this place. I've been here for 5 minutes, but like I looked over the drawings. I had them put this place up. I opened it up.
Yeah.
They haven't been doing anything here until I got. I hired the whole staff as soon as I got here. Mm-hmm. Tim looked at me and said, hey, help me out, Donald. And I just hired the whole staff as soon as I got here. But it's notable nonetheless because the original word on this was that it wasn't going to be assembled in Texas like the previous version was. And so you had the push from Trump on the political end saying, no, Apple, you got to do some stuff here in the States. And Apple, they kind of did a small gesture because in terms of the overall scope of their company, this is a relatively insignificant commitment. It's a handful of employees compared to what they're employing elsewhere in the world from a manufacturing, from an assembly standpoint. Apple confirmed to CNBC it will begin taking orders of the new Mac Pro on Tuesday, December 10th. And they're also going to launch it alongside the new 6K Pro Display XDR. That's a display, Will. That's a monitor. You want to know the price of that monitor, Will?
How much?
That's another $4,999, sir. So if you weren't already a little concerned about the upfront costs for the system, you're gonna throw in another 5 Gs for the monitor because you've got to have this monitor. You're not allowed to have a Mac Pro on the desk without this display XDR. You understand? Now, I know our buddy John over at TLD, he did some comparative analysis himself to other displays of similar capabilities and said, hey, man, I'm looking at the Sony production monitors with similar specs, and those things are expensive. This is actually a good deal. No one ever thought $5,000 was a good deal on anything. But once you start getting into the weird pro realm, all of a sudden you get some crazy price points. You know, anytime we're ordering equipment around here, that's in the pro realm. You just adjust yourself for these ridiculous, because it's a smaller volume marketplace, and so the margins have to be a little higher.
It's like a 30% markup.
At least, and from a business perspective, you understand it. Now, the issue that Apple has, and the reason Apple takes so much heat for this type of pricing, is because people don't perceive Apple in the same framework as they do those other professional types of products, because we're used to Apple as a consumer brand. So you can't help but filter this as if it's another consumer product. But it's important to note Apple was in the pro market. Arguably, they were in the pro market at the same time they entered the consumer market. Pre-iPhone, they were a computer company. But it's hard to remember that. And then you could spend a fortune on some of those earliest Apple computers as well. So maybe you got to give them a fair shake and say, all right, I kind of understand what's going on here. Nonetheless, it's going to be a small market thing. It's not going to be for everyone, nor is owning any PC of this magnitude and this price point. But individuals in creative professionals, people hate that terminology. I saw a comment once that was a pretentious title, creative professional. How dare you? How dare you? Creative professional. Like it's somehow...
It's offensive.
Well, like it's somehow you fancy yourself a little too much. Don't go fancying yourself. Will, talking to you.
Me?
Yeah.
Fine.
Don't go fancying yourself like that.
All right.
But for those people, I'm serious. I don't know what that means. Video editors, people working in Hollywood, whatever 3D, various 3D software people like to use. You could see some units getting swapped out, particularly because the previous version, Mac Pro, the trash can, wasn't received all that well because they were so aggressive on the form factor. And as you know now, they moved back to a more traditional form factor. So there was some heating and cooling issues with this form factor. It was aggressive. It was ambitious, taking nothing away from it. I thought it was cool, the trash can, even though it looks like a trash can. I spec'd one out for myself. I used it for editing, exporting for a while. But the GPUs did burn out on me, and I had to have a replacement twice. So, and I don't think I was the only one. Again, it was just an ambitious form factor when you considered the horsepower that went in there. So Apple went back to a more traditional form factor for those professional users. So I think they actually might sell a few of these. And, that's the way it goes. Is you make a mistake. Maybe it's not a mistake, but you go after one thing. You're ambitious in one direction, and you recognize that's not really what that user is looking for, and you backtrack. And so we have a rectangle. So what? It's a rectangle. But what's really getting guys pumped up about these things is obviously what's housed inside. Maybe even more so than the external appearance. So they're going to sell a few of them, but it's going to remain small market. So it's not really worth getting upset about. If you're not in the market for it, trust me, you're not in the market for it. Does Apple make a few dollars here? Yeah, they're going to make a few dollars. What do you expect? They're going to give it to you? You ever seen their logo, Will? Apple's
looking at it, you have to pay them.
Yeah, their logo,
Way too expensive.
it's a dollar sign. I don't know if you noticed. It's not actually an apple.
Yeah.
You draw, it's like the Illuminati thing. You flip it sideways, you turn it 20 degrees, then the dollar sign is in there. I don't know if you ever noticed it. But yeah, of course. Where do you think the $1 trillion came from? Where'd it come from? I don't know. It's like people walking through Las Vegas thinking they're going to win on the slot machine. Today's the day. It's like, wait, this building is really nice. Wonder how all that happened.
Yeah.
Wonder what nice man put this building here for me to gamble in.
It's like
For me to win money. What a nice gentleman.
There's no windows.
Yeah, and they're pumping oxygen in here. How nice of them.
Everything's
So I can gamble
daylight.
longer, so I can win more money.
Yeah.
You see how that goes, Will? So yeah, you got to do what you do if you're Apple. You're Tim, you do what you do. Few people are going to make a few things on these devices, and who knows, you'll probably watch it on Netflix. You'll probably watch something somebody made on these new Mac Pros on Netflix, which we're going to get to a Netflix story towards the end of this show here today. So stick around.